Hey Ottawa, this is Annalee Rice with Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa, Ontario. And this is my first time doing a video for the monthly snapshot. I figured it was worth it with the lots of red negative numbers. So let's get into it. So first off, these are the monthly stats for that come from the Ottawa Real Estate Board every month, and this is for March, so the recap of last month. So first off, the residential sales, that includes the detached homes as well as freehold townhomes or semi-detached, all residential properties. So it was just shy of 900 units sold, and the negative 39.9 is the compared to 2022. So it's just basically 40% less properties sold in March 2023 versus 2022. And the average price is just over 710,000, and which was down just shy of 17% compared to March 2022. So these both look really negative or bad negative if you look at it. But on the next couple slides, I'll show you how it really is looking and why there are some signs of some positivity. So let's look over on the right-hand side as we've got the condominium stats. So 301 units sold, which was down 41.7% from March 2022, and the average sale price was 418,000 and change, down 12.7% from 2022. And in the center, that's the total if you average all the properties that were sold. So just to give us a little bit of information, so because those other slides very much look very red, negative, it looks like doom and gloom and everything's getting worse. These slides are meant to sort of give you a bit of context of how we're doing month to month. And so if you look, the green bars give us the average sale price. So when you're comparing March 2022 to March 2023, that's the first green bar compared to the last green bar. And so that's where you're getting the negative 12% or negative 14%. But if you see the last four green bars, that's December, January, February, and March, we see that the average sale price has actually been climbing. In fact, the average sale price in December of 2022 was 656,000 for not detached, for residential properties. So we've definitely come up since then, and we see that the prices have rebounded for the last 4 months. Similarly, if you look at the number of sales, clearly we're not even close to the number of sales from spring last year. We're, as it said, 40% down, but we have to look a little bit further out to see how last year was quite abnormal for the number of sales that were happening. So the next slide will give us a bit more context even beyond the last year. Okay, so this chart here shows us the last 5 years in the real estate in Ottawa for residential properties. So it's a little clearer here when we look at the green line. You can see the clear peak of prices at the beginning of 2022. So that peaked in March 2022. It's a steep climb up and then a fairly steep drop off until about the summer last year. So you can see now that we're up at around the same level that we were through the summer, with July through September last year. And then also it's about the same as it was in the summer of before 2022. So you also see the summer of 2021, it was about the same price, slightly lower. And then also lead up into the peaks of 2021, because there was also a dip last summer. For the number of sales, we are definitely down in the freehold properties. The average of the last 5 years, which includes those very peak high years for 2021 and 2022 for the number of sales, we're down about 30% for those. And if you look at the average for the last 10 years, which is obviously not all on this chart, then we're down about 26%. So freehold properties are definitely still slower to move. Number of properties selling is lower. And here we'll look at the condominiums for the last 12 months. So we have the average sale price a little over 400,000, and it's been pretty steady over the last 3 months, as we can see there. And the prices are a lot more volatile with condominiums. There's less sales, fewer sales, and there's also the average sale price can be skewed quite a lot by some really expensive condos selling or a few really cheaper condos selling. So that's why we see a lot more volatility. It's not really the full mark, like the same type of place isn't going to vary that much month to month. But the number of sales is clearly starting to pick up, but it's not what it was at March or April, May last year. Okay, so if we look at the last 5 years, we can definitely see a little bit more how the volatility of condo prices is a little bit more evident. So there was a peak through the early parts of 2022 where the prices were high for about 3-4 months there. And then we've had dips and little peaks. But right now we've been pretty steady for the last few months, and prices are pretty steady as they were about throughout most of 2021. If we look at the number of sales for the last number of years, it's again hard to see on these line graphs, but if we look at the last 5 years, this is where it looks the most dire, but it's 30% down this month compared to the average of the Marches for the last 5 years. But then if you can't really tell from here, because if I go back 10 years, the average for the last 10 years, we're only down 3%. So the years prior to the pandemic, condo sales were a lot slower in March. And if I look at the last 10 years, but I don't include those two real peak pandemic years, 2021 and 2022, this month is actually higher. It's actually 2.5% above what the average of the last 10 years were. Obviously, that's not exactly accurate because we have to include those years in the averages. But for condo sales, looking just back 1 or 2 years, it looks very low in the number of sales. But if you look back at further past averages, it's a lot more average. Okay, so obviously this is lots of information, and if it's confusing to you, then please reach out and I can give you a little bit more information. Or if you would like some information about your area or your specific scenario, then please reach out and I'm more than happy to have a conversation.